Hey y'all, what's going on? This is your man, Severe Lean. What's happening? What's popping? Yeah, I can tell you what's dropping. Merchandise. Yeah, merchandise. A lean for you at Etsy.com. And also a lean for you on Shopify. Yeah, yeah. Product, man, that you're not going to find anywhere else. Printed product. Cups, tumblers, shirts, uh, phone case covers, all that stuff, man. Yeah, all this stuff, all this stuff. I was looking for my phone. I can't find my phone. And you know what happens when we can't find our phone, right? Stuff get crazy. Yeah, stuff gets crazy. You feel detached somehow. Yeah. What happens when you get detached from things, man? Things that you used to having with you all the time, every day. We were talking about that last week. In last week's show, we were talking about triggers. And we'll be talking about that again because we started that list of 10 things that you must remember when your spouse triggers you. Yeah, yeah. So this is one of those moments where, like, that's on my mind. I'm looking around, trying to backtrack all the possibilities, where I was last, what happened when I came in, and all those things like that. And then you have something on your mind, and then when you have things on your mind, and life is going on all around you, right? And then wife comes and asks you about something, and last thing you want to hear about in that moment is what she's asking you, right? You don't want to hear that. It's not even the conversation you want to delve into right now. Like right now, I got to sit down and do a show because I already started the show. Can't turn around and not start the show now that it's already started. But it's a distraction. And when you're distracted, how do you typically react and respond to the things around you, right? But now she wants to know what time we going to the store so we can go shopping because we plan to go shopping. And I'm saying, well, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about where the hell my phone is, right? And it comes out just like that. I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm trying to find my phone. You want to ask me about something else? Like, how inconsiderate you are asking me something right now when you know I'm looking for my phone, right? Yeah. So you respond negatively when you typically don't respond. Hey, well, listen, I'll let you know what time, or I'm doing this today, I'm doing that today, and at some point, we'll make that happen, right? But today it's a different story because I'm in my head about something entirely different, and that's often what happens. And it may not be the phone; it may be something else. It could be just other things that are resting on your spirit, right? That you're preoccupied and thought about those particular things, and you're just not trying to make room in that moment for anything else. But it's by choice that you do that. Hmm. Nice cup of coffee. I didn't have time to brew a pot because I was looking for my phone, so I had to settle for some instant. I always keep it on hand, that just in case stuff. See, because stuff happens, man. And just in case something happens, you have to be able to have a plan B when something happens. So, not having any coffee probably would have gotten a show cancellation this morning because I need to have my coffee. Well, I don't need, I want. And because I want it, I still need to have it, if that makes sense. That's the kind of stuff we tell ourselves, when we make decisions about things. We make decisions about how we're going to respond to a particular situation. Now, what if my boss said they needed something from me, right? Would I stop and do that because my boss said that I need this done? And regardless of the fact that whether you're looking for your phone or not, that has to be done because that's your job. Well, isn't taking care of your spouse your job too? Why would you be responding to them differently? Then you justify it by saying, well, they're subjected to a number of things because of the fact that they are my spouse. So I can, you know, use that as an excuse that we know that the spouse gets it all. That's what we're for. Truth be told, we're for that. We're for the we're the anger board. We're the sounding board. We're the beating board. We take all of those things when our spouse is frustrated, when they're angry, when they just can be themselves. That's what typically happens. So there's an expectation in many ways that, listen, that's your job, right? Like children's jobs are to be annoying. That's their job. Their jobs are to be annoying. And when they're annoying, our job then is to correct that annoyance, right? If it needs to be corrected. Sometimes the annoyance has more to do with you and what's happening with you than the actual action by the child. So we can go a number of different ways, but we were talking about the article last week from Psychology Today, 10 things to remember when your partner triggers you, right? And the article is by Michelle P. Maitenberg, PhD, MPH, LCSW -R, CGP. Yeah, Michelle, you got a lot of letters there. I think it's half the alphabet. Yeah. I just don't see the Z. Maybe there's no credential with the Z in it. But anywho, thanks for the article. The article's on relationships. And 10 things to remember. I changed the whole title when I ad-libbed it. 10 things to remember. So the implications here is that if you don't remember these things, when you get triggered, because you will be triggered, uh, that there's a good chance that this won't be a positive outcome. And oftentimes it leads to um, dissension between the two of you and a lot of unresolved. You don't remember these things. It keeps happening. You keep responding this way or reacting in ways that are just not appropriate or that are actually disheartening, sometimes disrespectful of the other person. Yeah. So key points in this article was when triggered in our relationships, it can feel as if we're spinning out of control because we become activated and remote from our values. Yeah. The value I just talked about. Well, you look at your employer in one perspective and you look at your partner in another perspective, right? Why? You don't value your relationship more than you value your job? Jobs come and go. Some will say, well, yeah, well, so do partners. This is true. This is true. So, how do you rectify the values conflict when these things happen? The other point, our triggers are treasures and direct vessels facilitating our self awareness. There are a lot of people who don't have any level of self awareness beyond everything is about them. It's me, 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 me. No matter what, it's always about me. There's no conscious connection to other people because other people have no relevance. The needs of other people has no relevance. Their values and beliefs are irrelevant to you because it's about what you want. Right? That's why it says our triggers are treasures and direct vessels facilitating our self awareness. Sometimes people don't utilize that vessel to move towards change, towards self improvement. They just sit in it and let it be what it is and continue to blame the world around them for the difficulties they continue to face in life. The other point, our intense reactions may be indicative of unprocessed thoughts and feelings stemming from childhood or a coping mechanism getting enacted. Right? So a lot of times people think that they've moved through certain aspects of their lives. Excuse me, of their lives, and it's a coping mechanism that's been put in place to avoid, and that happens in a number of ways: deflection, denial, resistant, closed-mindedness. Those kind of things, and they have cousins. Other bad behaviors come out as a result of the coping mechanism that's being used. That's not an effective one when it comes to interpersonal relationships, right? So we went down to number one, and that one was on a trigger from my past relationship, maybe spilling over into my present relationship, and that's something that happens all the time. I'm not going to allow another woman to do this to me. I'm not going to allow another man to treat me in this capacity, so on and so forth. And we all have a story. We all have those bad aspects of a once good relationship that trickles down into the new relationship. And you really want to look at, was that relationship that you were in previously all bad? You establish a relationship with that person for a reason. Now, whatever that reason was, you have to figure that out. You have to figure out what it was that attracted you to that person. You have to figure out when things start going left, because infidelity wasn't always the circumstance in these failed relationships. Yeah, your own unresolved can prevent you from doing a whole lot of positive things, constructive things, productive things in your life, right? Because you continue to drag the baggage around, right? And that's often what happens when you get into a new relationship. We become the new whipping board. We're the ones you beat up on because of what somebody else did to you in that relationship and how you perceived it. Whether you saw it as being their fault, or whether you saw them as being the perpetrator of wrongdoings upon you, which triggered you to act on, whatever coping impulses you have decided to make use of, because it becomes impulsive. When once you make that decision that this is the coping mechanism, you don't have any control over it, because you're not thinking about it, because you don't believe that there was any wrongness on your part. Right, wrong, or indifferent, people respond and react to the world around them differently. And if you have a hard time understanding and only focus on being understood, well, you're going to have a very rough road in life. So, number two on that list of the 10 things to remember, and it's important, 10 things to remember. So, you should be writing this down. You should be going to the article. You should be following closely, because I don't know about you. I'm not going to remember all 10 of these damn things. I'm just not. Right? So it's a reference point. It's a point of reference that you use. Maybe go to the site, print it out, and put it up on the wall. We put a lot of positive affirmations and things up on the wall. Right? We have a lot of sources of guidance. You have the Bible, the Quran, the Torah that you have sitting, collecting dust. How often do you read it? For those who are electronically savvy, how often do you put the headset on and plug in and listen to your chosen scripture? Right? I have the entire Quran on my iPad, and from time to time, right? I put the headphones on, and when I go to bed at night, and I listen to it, or I'll just turn it on while I'm working or something like that, depending on the task, because I don't want to be distracted too much, so that I'm listening more to the Quran than I am on the task. Right? If I'm drawing, it's really good because my mind is already isolated from the world around me while I'm creating my artwork. So it's different things that we have available to us. But number two is no one can read my mind. We expect that others will automatically understand or will seek to, but no one will be able to read your mind as much as you would like them to. Expressing how you feel rather than acting on thoughts and feelings is critical in any relationship. That's a real dangerous place to be when you think that somebody should do a certain thing, a particular thing. They should act in a certain way because, well, they know that something transpired in your day, so therefore they should yield to your bad behavior. They should yield to your inability to manage appropriately that emotion, those thoughts. You think that person should yield to it because, oh, well, you knew I had a bad day. Why wouldn't you just leave me alone? Well, that's not my job. That's not our roles to one another. You know, you have a bad day, you come home, you vent to your partner about it. That's where you have the opportunity to vent inappropriately because you don't want to vent inappropriately in the workplace, right? Sometimes you don't even want to vent appropriately because then it can be interpreted in a negative sense, especially if you're talking about productivity um, uh, in the workplace and job duties and responsibilities and expectations that you have of another person. Because you don't want to tell your boss how to do the job. Because some people don't like take that too well because they're usually ones not seeking improvement. They're usually ones who have the mindset of I'm the boss. So if you focus more on understanding, because this is what it talks about here, we expect that others will automatically understand us, or will seek to, right? So see what I've come to understand in life is that a person presents who they are. They can be as apologetic as they want for triggering you, but it doesn't change the fact of who you are. That means if you're not seeking to make changes, you being the perpetrator, are not seeking to make changes, that you will always blame the other person. Either way you look at it, you won't try to understand that what you just said or did triggered them, right? I have to understand that you are who you are, that you will be that way, that no matter what I say or do, if you didn't see the need to change it, why am I going to waste energy in trying to bring it to your attention constantly, consistently, persistently, when I'm the one being drained and you're still acting in the way you're going to act anyway? Yeah, it becomes draining. You can't make a person change. You just can't. You can only point out to the person, when you do this, I feel this. Not blaming you. This is just how I feel when this behavior from you is presented upon me. I have to make a conscious decision as to whether I want to continue to accept that behavior. And usually accepting that behavior is based upon what you show me in the area of desired change. Are you seeking to change? Are you seeking to improve yourself? And in most cases, most people are not seeking to improve themselves. Most people are waiting to wear you down with that behavior and for you to just surrender and let it be. That's what most people do. They're not seeking to change, because if they were seeking to change, first and foremost, it wouldn't be happening. And if it was happening, they would immediately apologize and do something about that, because that's what an apology is. Apology is uh, is is uh, um, is more of a verb. I apologize. A verb. It's an action, because that means that something else comes behind it. It's not just a word that you spew out of your mouth when you do something wrong. An apology implies that I am going to take action to change that. When a person continues to do that same thing and continues to be apologetic, first and foremost, you know it's not sincere. Anybody who sincerely um, apologetic for their behavior is going to show that they are sincere about it in their actions. When somebody constantly does a negative thing that negatively impacts you, they've been told about it. Therefore, it now becomes a battle between you and that person, because now the person begins to minimize it even further because you haven't taken an aggressive approach. So they say things like, my bad. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Oh, I forgot. That person has no intention on changing. That person won't change. You need to make a decision, right? You need to make a decision, right? So once you express yourself to a person, right, then the ball is in their court. I just told you how I felt when you said such and such, right? So now I'm telling you about how your behavior affected me. I expressed it to you. I didn't act out on those thoughts and feelings, right? I had a conversation with you about it. I didn't suppress it. I got it out of me because keeping it in me is not good for me. And it's even worse for you. Because when I get to the point of complete frustration with you, right, I begin to see your behavior as disrespectful. How I respond or react to disrespect depends on the moment. Depends on the moment. I give people respect right from the door. Once you disrespect me, I no longer have respect for you if that behavior is not corrected. Because you may be acclimated to dealing with people that way, but I won't allow you to deal with me in that way. So once I express to you how I feel about your approach and you do it a second time, I have no respect for you. That doesn't mean I'm going to disrespect you. It means I have no respect for you. I have no respect for you. And again, it doesn't mean that you act disrespectfully towards a person. I'm going to treat you accordingly, but I have no respect for you. So now you put yourself in the circumstance, because once I have no respect for you, you can't get anything from me. You could experience the most traumatic situation in your life, but you get no love from me. You'll get empathy as a human being. You won't get sympathy because I feel like whatever you're getting, you're deserving of. Because it's called karma. It comes back on you. You can't treat people poorly and think that it's not going to come back to you, especially when it comes to our parents. But that's a whole another show that I'm going to do on respecting our parents and the significance that it bears. But you always express how you feel. Don't keep it in, right? Because nobody can read your mind. Don't think that somebody's automatically going to do this and do that because that's what you think they should do. It doesn't happen that way. Number three, be open and curious rather than closed off and shut down, right? Most people that you interact with, that I've interacted with, through my lifetime, very seldom do I find people who are open and curious, right? Even in dating. And that's like the worst thing for people to have to contend with because people are so fake and so phony. You always meet your representative. So the representative, often appears to be open and curious. But in the meantime, the person, right? The person is really closed off and shut down. They want to be open and curious so they can go on a fishing expedition and find out what your likes and dislikes are, right? Get an idea of what they have to contend with should they present this particular behavior that's embedded within them. It says, ask yourself whether you're in a state of connection or protection. That helps to focus your awareness on your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations and assess how open you are to listening, healing, and repairing. That's a lot to contend with. That's a lot to contend with, right? So when you're talking to somebody, right, and somebody has brought to your attention a particular behavior, that is the moment where the determination is made as to whether we are in a state of connection or protection. So, what I just said to you, you're being open and curious. Are you attempting to connect to me? Are you attempting to connect with what's happening right here? Or do you already have a predetermined script anytime you're engaging somebody? So it's protection automatically. How can you hear if you're always in a defensive stance? When you're always in an offensive, because when you're defensive, what comes out of your mouth and what's shown in your actions are offensive. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're being offensive and not defensive, you're being open. That means you're just taking stuff in. You're paying attention to what's happening. You don't have this negative attachment to it, which is the protection aspect of it. But it helps you to focus your awareness on your thoughts. What am I thinking right now? Wow, she seems to be a nice looking, nice looking sister. She has all of her teeth. She can put two sentences together, and yeah, and so we got a conversation going on right now. You know, joke, but it's a matter of okay, all right. Or are you sitting there? Man, what is she talking about? What? I have no idea. And this is what your thoughts are. Like, did she just? I know she didn't just take that fork and. Oh my! That's just nasty. She's looking to see if it's sterling silver. Jeez. All right. Okay. She just told the server that the ice is not cold enough. This is going downhill quickly. You start looking at if you're connecting with somebody, you look at things that they're doing. Okay, she ain't Gucci down. Yeah, she got some basic clothing on. Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she don't have a whole lot of makeup on. Okay, all right, all right. That is her hair. All right, yeah, okay. We batting 500 right now. Yeah, okay. Oh wow, her nails are. Yeah, I can see she takes care of her nails. Yeah, they are natural nails too. Okay. But it's different things. So when you're open, you look at the person for who they are, who sits before you. When you're closed, and you start seeing, oh man, here's another one. She got all this hair, the eyelashes, the nails, the bling bling bag, and all those things like that. And how do you perceive those things? I look at those things from the perspective of, okay, so you intend to take care of these things for yourself. Because if you're looking for me to have those kind of things, provide those things for you, then that's a problem. Because I'm not your bank account, right? I'm not your father, right? These are the things that you want. If I desire to give them to you, I will. Right. But if that's what you're looking for, which is what I'm going to find out in this conversation, because I'm going to be open and curious to see what your thinking is. I'm going to listen to your conversation. I'm gonna see what it is that you're doing, where you're going. Not just seeing that you have a 9 to 5. Okay, so how do you manage your money? And how do you manage your money this way when you have these responsibilities here, right? So that means there's no room for saving. If you have children and you have a rent mortgage to pay, and you have a note on your vehicle, and you're walking around wearing all this expensive stuff, then right, I don't where's your savings at? Where's the future? Where's the future? See, because that's how I look at things. I look beyond the moment, right? What kind of future are you establishing? Right? Because if you're spending everything, if all of your credit cards are maxed out and you're just spending, you're going to the restaurant all the time, and you're doing all of the spending, then that's a values conflict for me. It's a values conflict for me. So it's just things, and this is not in the literal sense that I'm talking. I'm just saying that it helps you to focus your awareness on your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations, and assess how open you are to listening, healing, and repairing. Right? Because all that I just said could have been from a previous experience where this person, that's all they did. They lived the exact same way. But for some reason, I was attracted to the same person again. Right? So now this person who seems to have the same nuances of the previous relationship is sitting in front of me. What am I experiencing in that moment? See, this is the awareness here, right? Am I focusing on the fact that I've engaged another person just like the previous person, and now I want to hold this person in the same light as that person, right? Because it sure sounded like it when I was giving you a description, right? So that means, and this is the baggage from the previous relationship that's in this relationship now. That one that hasn't even formed. We just started dating. We're not even in a relationship, but it's forming right here. So my awareness of my thoughts, right? Here we go. Here's another one. I'm not dealing with that. So how open am I being? I'm curious. What am I curious about? And why am I curious? Well, I'm curious how you manage money. I'm curious about what kind of future you have planned and what have you begun to do, because when people have future plans, you have to be doing something presently. I set goals. It used to be a 5 year goal. Now it's down to a 2, 3 year goal because I've achieved quite a few things. And now I'm just making some shorter things that I want to get done a lot quicker. I don't have that time frame anymore. Right. So you have to look at those things. What's happening with your body? Are you tensing up? Are you gritting your teeth? Are you disconnecting from the conversation? Has your eye contact changed? Are you aware that you do these things? Are you aware that when somebody irritates you, that you lose eye contact with them? I'm aware that I do that. If you're annoying me, I won't make eye contact with you. Very little. It'll be fleeting. I look at you and then. So I'm aware of that about me. I'm aware that if you are that person on the list who I don't respect, you will seldom get eye contact from me. Once you disrespect me, right, you will seldom get eye contact from me unless there's a message that I'm delivering to you directly that I need you to understand that. And if at that point you should be concerned. At that point you should be concerned. I'm just telling you who I am because I know who I am. I'm aware. I will cut you off at the knees. I will act like you don't even exist and be okay with it, be in the same room with you and not even acknowledge you. I know those things about myself. I'm aware of that. But a person who doesn't want to take responsibility or ownership for their bad behavior will look at it as I am the person who is wrong, not looking at why I feel that way towards them. And it's not important. It's not important for me to just out and tell you. But if that concerns you, then you would ask me, yo, we used to, and it seems that, did I do something? And you have to make a decision as to whether you want to express your thoughts or feelings to that person. What has been your history with them? What has been your past experience with them? What has been the outcome in before when you express your feelings to them? Do you see them as a person who takes ownership for that stuff? No. So if you don't, then we won't have that discussion. And you're not going to draw me in. See, people who don't want to take responsibility and accountability for their behavior, right? They won't take ownership in any capacity. So me making another attempt is only going to be a way for you to deflect from your bad behavior and put it upon me by my current reaction. See, when I clap back, you don't like it. You don't like it. When I'm humble, I'm not saying anything because that's what I do. I get quiet. I don't mess. If I don't mess with you, I'm quiet, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm gonna have very little to say to you, right? So this is why when it's saying here, be open and curious rather than closed off and shut down. I know what I do in certain situations. I enter into most situations open and curious. That's who I am. I just randomly talk to people because I want to know. I learned most of what I've learned about human and social services by being open and curious of the individual sitting in front of me, not just brandishing my credentials, not brandishing my academic knowledge, not brandishing my personal experience as a person who has recovered from varied things in my life. No, no, because it's not about me when I'm interacting with you. It's about you when I'm interacting with you. So I need to come to understand and know you. Number 4 on that list. Oh, before we go to number 4, the last thing it says on here is focus your awareness on your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations, right? And assess how open you are to listening, healing, and repairing, right? So in listening, right, what's happening? Because you're making an assessment now of how open you are to listening to this person. If you're not willing to listen to this person, right, you have to do something about that. You have to let them know why you don't want to listen to them, or you have to stay away from them, or you have to do something that's going to limit that interaction. Healing. Do you want to keep feeling this way? Is there something you can do about feeling this way? Yes. You can change your thinking. No matter what you seek to do in life to improve, it always begins with thinking. So when you look at, are you open to healing? Do you want to feel better? Because I watch people all the time. I'm a very observant people. And a lot of times people show you that they don't want to heal. They show you they don't want to heal. It's all in their actions. They continue to do the same hurtful things to other people, but especially to themselves. They're not looking to heal. They want to keep playing victim. They want to keep telling you, well, I got this going on and that going on in my life. And, you don't understand. Well, I don't see what it is that's going on. Help me to understand what it is that's going on. No, well, you wouldn't understand. Well, and that's a way for people not to take accountability and responsibility for personal growth. Leave it alone. They don't want to heal. The question is, do you want to heal? Do you want to keep going back and forth with this person who obviously does not want to heal? And I said, yes, I said that. They do not want to heal. You have a choice When people sit down and say, "No, you can't say that somebody don't want this, somebody don't want recovery, and so on." Yes, I can. If you want the pain to stop, let me change that. If you want the suffering to stop, because pain is inevitable, suffering is an option. Because once you feel the pain of a particular thing, you see the outcome. You continue to feel that. That's suffering now. Because you made a conscious decision to stay in the stuff that you're in. You made that decision. And when people make that decision to not heal, to stay broken, right, you have to leave them where they are. Because if you don't, eventually you're going to yield to their brokenness. It's going to trickle down into your relationship, and you're going to always be exhausted because they're not healing. They're still sick. They still remain in the position that they were in before you. And they're going to stay in that position until they're ready to heal. How sick are you in that area? How long will you continue to enable that behavior? That's what you have to understand. So you need to do some healing. You need to come to the conclusion that this is where this person is. This is where this person is going to be. Now, what am I going to do about it to heal? Is this worth yielding to? For my health, is it worth yielding to? What other areas does this same sickness, I'm going to call it sickness. I don't care whether you agree or disagree. When you choose to stay in an unhealthy condition, there's something wrong with that. I call it being sick, because you change when you become sick and tired of being sick and tired. You understand what I'm saying? So you're sick to stay in the position of not healing, right? Because that's what it implies. If you're healing, that means that there's some hurt. If I get a cut here, right, I need to do some things to heal it. I need to get some, antibiotics and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to take some pills for, it not to spread, right? You have to put some ointments or something on it. You got to cover it. You got to uncover it, right? And you watch it. No, so and this is the thing about healing. You're going to always have that mark there. That mark will always be there above the skin and in the mind. It's going to always be there. The healing part is the acceptance. This happened because of this. If it was something that somebody else did, then that means that, you need to forgive them in order for you to be able to move on. Because if you don't forgive them and you stay balled up in the knot, life for them is hunky-dory. And you're still going through it. So there's a whole process. There's a lot that has to be done to be able to heal and repair. How do I fix this? I don't know how to fix this. Well, the first thing you probably want to begin to do is go ask for professional help. Stop trying to play counselor for people. If people believe that much in you as an individual, they will be coming to you about more things. So don't fall prey to that. Don't, jump into being somebody's counselor, whether you're credentialed or not. Just don't do it. I am not my woman's counselor. You are not your man's counselor. You are not your child's counselor. You have a responsibility of guidance, of protecting. And protecting means that I'm giving you the information. I protect you by telling you, if you continue to go down this route, this is going to be the outcome. That's protection. You can't stop somebody from going down the path they choose to go down. You can't stop it. Nothing you can do about it. Just remember that, right? So you have to be able to have some awareness. Focus on your awareness, on your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. And you have to assess how open you are to listening, healing, and repairing. Right? Because I'm not going to stay stuck. You can stay stuck, but it talks about here having that awareness of what's going on in your mind when you encounter that situation, when you encounter that person, when your partner does this, your partner does that. Come on, all right, what you going to do about this? This just happened. Why are you responding to me in this capacity? I need to find out. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to express to you my thoughts. I'm not going to keep it within myself. I'm going to tell you how I feel about a particular thing. I'm not looking for you to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I don't want to be told whether I'm right or wrong. You telling me I'm wrong is because you feel the need to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I'm already telling you how I feel about a particular, my thoughts and my feelings about a particular thing. I'm not asking you to confirm and deny it. I don't have to, because it's going to always be my perception that has to be dealt with. Your perception, it's not going to do anything for me when it comes to healing, when it comes to repairing. I have to make that decision. When you said this is how I interpreted it. Your apology is great, it's wonderful. It ain't for me, it's for you, because it implies actions. It implies actions. Real simple. So the healing and repairing part and the listening is all very important. You have to hear what the person is saying. That means what they're not saying. So if you're listening, you're going to hear things not being said. If your focus is on being closed and shut down, you're going to only listen for keywords that are going to only piss you off, that are only going to confirm within yourself what it is that you, concluded. I knew. Here it is. I knew that was coming. So you didn't hear anything. How are you going to know if a person is actually changing? How are you going to know if a person, you're going to show that you're curious, that you're open-minded about anything to the other person, if you're going to keep reacting the same way? You keep reacting the same way, that means that you need to heal and you need to repair that aspect, right? Because at this point, you should just make a decision. Either you accept it or you don't. Either you're going to move on or you're going to stay. You can't straddle the fence and pick and choose when you want to accommodate that bad behavior. You can't do that. And we do it all too often, all in the name of love. No, you love you first. Stop loving somebody else more than you love me. They're going to keep doing what they're doing because they know that you love them. And it's obvious you love you if you love them more than you love you. That's why they keep doing it. They know you love them, and they're going to keep on doing it. They know you're accommodating, and they're going to keep on doing it. So this is where some decisions have to be made. If you're being triggered by something, you have to take a look at what your thoughts and feelings are. You also have to express it to your partner. When you keep things stuffed, it's not good for anybody. Number 4, ask yourself, what's my part in this? And I can accept it, face it, and work with it. I just got finished talking about that. Right? Just got finished talking about that. And again, I don't read these articles. I don't read these articles and internalize these articles. This is my conditioning. This is my growth. This is my counseling session. This is my therapeutic session when I'm talking to you. So I'm talking to me. But I just got finished saying this. What's my part in this? A lot of times people will say, well, I didn't have any part in it. How did you not have a part in it? It was your behavior that triggered me. Doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you wrong. When I'm expressing my thoughts and feelings to you, what I'm asking you to do is to take a look at you and how you interact with me and how you trigger me in this particular area. It's not a blame. You can't trigger something that doesn't exist. It exists within me. So you can't be at fault for that. Not unless you have done this before. Then it's a different conversation. But it still goes back to healing and repairing. Why didn't I resolve it when it happened before? How did it happen again? How did I allow it to happen again? Do you have a part in this? Yes, I'm still here. I haven't left. And a lot of times that's the part that we don't want to look at. This that happened between you and I know within myself I did nothing wrong to you. Right? So what's my part in this? I'm still with you. That's my part. That's my part. That in itself is enough. I am still with you. That is my part in this. This is repeated behavior. I've been down this road with you much too long. I am still here. That's my part in this. So because I've stayed, I've reinforced within you that it's okay for you to do that. It's okay for you to piss on me, tell me it's raining, hurt my feelings, disrespect me. I'm reinforcing that when I stay. That's what I'm doing. So that's my part in it. I can't complain. I chose to stay after that list of things that you did to me, whether it's in one time, whether it's 100 times, it doesn't matter. I stayed with you. So that's my part in it. I should have left. I should have told you to leave. I should have terminated the relationship. I should have told you I'm not doing this anymore. It's no back and forth. See, once I conclude that this is where things are going, I'm done with you. There's no going back. You've already demonstrated. If you've been with me, let's say we've been together 3-4 years. And there's some behavior that comes from you, right? An uncommon behavior, an uncommon negative behavior comes from you and is put upon me, right? I'm going to question what's going on with you. I'm going to have some dialogue because is it something that I have a part of that I've done or that I've shown you are disinterested in something? I'm not going to automatically take responsibility for it. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be curious about what it is you have to say because I can do things that are unconsciously done. But we're going to have dialogue about, again, expressing my thoughts and feelings. Like, I get it. You're angry. I'm not really sure what you're angry about. I know what you just told me. But oftentimes what happens with that, when I go into that line of questioning, I become arrogant. I become this other person other than who I was that I've been all this time. Now I'm somebody different because I challenge you, because I question you, because you have an issue with my intellect. So you want to label as being something else. So you want to twist it around because you don't want to take responsibility. Now you want to divert, and now you want to. So see, that's what people do. If you know that I'm a person who's going to ask for clarity about things, if you know I want answers, either give me the answers or leave me alone. It really is that simple. But it's so simple that we complicate it because we keep arguing about the same thing. We keep falling into that same trap. And we're wondering why we're so miserable. We're wondering why there's dissension between me and my partner. Because you have all this unresolved. Because when you say something about something, they get all balled up in the knot. They start telling you about something else. See, when you don't do anything to another person, I mean, literally do nothing but care for another person, then their list gets shorter and shorter. So they make up stuff. They make up stuff. They create stuff because they have to defend themselves. So that's that defensive position, right? That's that defensive position. So they're not seeking to learn about you. They're seeking to remain in their same condition, and they defend their positions by acting the way they do. And when you challenge them on that, that's a problem. So it's easier for them to be defensive and start telling you about you. Why can't I ask you questions? Why can't I ask for clarity? Why can't you give me clarity? Or you just want people to talk the way you want them to talk? No, I asked you a question. I asked you a question. Why can't you answer the question? It's in my head. Why are you not answering the question? What is the issue here? And the issue is you. You don't want to answer the question. You have an inability to answer the question. You have an inability. And you want to make it my issue. That's what happens in this. Again, what's my part in this? And can I accept it? Can I accept it? You're not going to convince me because that's what you think that this is what it actually was, right? Can I accept it? Is this my part in it? Sure, I can. When I know me, the more time you spend learning about yourself and your condition, the better off your life will be. When you sit around and you point fingers at other people, you talk about other people. Well, let's talk about gossip, period. There's nothing good going to come out of gossip, right? People who sit around and gossip ultimately wind up getting their ass kicked. They wind up getting killed, or they always wind up being in some kind of conflict and confrontation because they're sitting around talking to somebody about somebody else when that clearly shows who you are. So if you're talking about him to me, you're going to talk about me to him. That's what gossipers do. So it's not going to be anything about this until you accept the fact that your mouth is going to get your ass in trouble. Are you willing to face that? Are you willing to accept that? Because that's going to be the outcome. Are you willing to accept that if you keep sitting around gossiping and talking about other people, that eventually it's going to come back to you? Eventually it's going to come to your door. Right? That's that idle time, that idle talk, right? Which is referred to as the devil's workshop. Because all you're doing is sitting around chatting about other people, what other people do, what they can't do, what they need to do, what they should do, and you ain't got nothing yourself. You have no room for any of that. Can you face that? Can you accept that? You have nothing and you're sitting down talking about somebody else. You have everything. Did you forget how you got it? So it's a lot of things you have to ask yourself. First and foremost, before you even ask the other person, ask yourself, have you really been honest to that other person? Have you really been truthful to that other person about your thoughts and feelings? Because if you haven't, then you don't have any room in there yourself. You've created less room in there for yourself to be able to confront. So what happens is we form this kind of unwritten contract between each other because, well, I did this and I want her to talk about that. And she does the same thing. Well, yeah, well, I did this, but I don't want to talk about that because then he'll bring up this. And that's how you spend your relationship. I'm not going to bring this up because if I bring this up, it's going to be hell. Well, I'm not going to bring that up because if I bring that up, it's going to be hell. And then neither one of you bring up the things that need to be brought up because it's the unresolved between the two of you. So now you have this contract, right? Where I won't say anything about this if you don't say anything about that. Like an act of fidelity, the response to one's infidelity is for me to go, commit an act of infidelity too. Now we're even. And you believe that? How stupid that is. But that's what people do. So now that you're an infidel, infidel, no. Now you have been unfaithful, because infidel is definitely not the word. Now that you have been unfaithful and I have been unfaithful, now we have an even playing field because we're both guilty. It makes a lot of sense. So back to the article, it's in our nature to deflect and blame. It's in our nature. Rather than share responsibility for what didn't go right. We should not, we would then have to face our imperfections and unwanted parts, right? And it may force us to put intentional effort into promoting personal change or decide to distance from or leave a relationship. Our propensity is to avoid the discomfort Our challenge is to feel that way, but to remain engaged despite the feeling. So when you look at this particular step here, it says we would then have to face our imperfections and unwanted parts. Nobody wants to, accept the fact that they're rude, obnoxious, and arrogant to some other people, right? Nobody wants to accept that. Nobody wants to accept it knowing it. You know that you're not being open when people are talking to you. You know that you're closed when people are talking to you. But when you don't want to accept that, right? You keep on moving forward and you keep blaming somebody else for how they have labeled you as being arrogant and all these other things, but you actually are. Because if you're closed and shut down, right, you can't graft a new idea onto a closed and shut down mind. You can't, because you only see things from one perspective, right? Imperfections, we all have them. Am I okay with, the descriptions of me that I gave you? No, I'm not okay with those things, and I continue to work on those things. But I'm aware of those things. I'm aware that that's an imperfection for me. What do I do about my imperfections? Right? It's not like when you go buy a chicken from the store, you cut all the parts, you take all the fat off. Those are unwanted parts. To me, I don't want the skin, the fat, and all that skin. Some people bake the whole thing and they'll eat the skin. I don't want it. But when it comes to you, when it comes to you changing who you are, when it comes to looking at your imperfection and those unwanted parts of you, right? You know that they're there. You don't want to seek to heal. You don't want to seek to repair. You don't want to seek to listen and make a change about it. You want to continue to blame other people, but then you're always defensive because you don't like those parts of yourself. But you think those parts of yourself is something somebody else told you that they have. Therefore, you don't look at it because you don't want to see it. It may force us to put intentional effort into promoting personal change. For some people, that's not a good place to be. I don't want to do any work on myself. Change for what? Change for who? Am I doing this for her? Am I doing this for him? So they're happy? That's not what I want. So if that's not what it says here, or decide to distance from or leave a relationship. And that's usually the end result. When you feel like you don't want to confront your own self, your imperfections, your unwanted parts, that you don't want to take responsibility, accept those things, face those things, and do some work on it, the outcome is you begin to distance yourself from that person that you're in a relationship with. That's how so many relationships end today. Because when people confront you, when your partner confronts you on your bad behavior, and you keep holding on to it, and it keeps presenting, it keeps rearing this ugly head over and over again in a relationship, eventually that other person who your less endearing traits are being forced upon eventually makes a decision to leave. A lot of times what happens is the person who is imposing those behaviors ultimately wants to leave. They want to leave. But most of the time they stay because they're waiting for you to yield to that behavior and accept their behavior. Therefore, they can make it right within themselves. Then they can say, see, it was you all along. All you had to do was just, right? So you have to look at those kinds of things. We're gonna stop on number 4, man, because I'm on the roll, but it's a lot to really remember. So for me to just go down the list of things that it clearly says here, relate, that these are 10 things to remember when your partner triggers you. Your partner is going to trigger you. What you do about being triggered is entirely up to you. This is not saying that your partner is doing necessarily anything wrong. It's simply saying you are triggered by something your partner is doing, not doing, saying, not saying. It is not saying that your partner is wrong. I don't sit down and say, well, my previous marriages ended because, this person was just a bad person. No, there were things that transpired between us that triggered me, right? That things I did that triggered them. I seek to heal. Everybody ain't there to do that. Some people will always be the way they are, and they have the right to be who they are. It's not for me to tell somebody that they have to change. It's not for me to tell somebody that they have to identify triggers. No, you don't have to. But if you're saying you want things to improve, yes, then you have to. You have to. I don't have to accept anything that is making me uncomfortable, that is taking away my peace, that is taking away my serenity. I don't have to accept it. I don't. So in dealing with situations that make me uncomfortable, that are annoying, that are irritating, I have to do something within myself to be able to remain in that space with that condition, but within myself be at peace. That's the work. Because you're not always going to be able to terminate situations. That's just a reality. Sometimes you're in situations where there are things that are happening that are against your values, that are against your beliefs, that are against the grain, that you are going to have to come to terms with so you can stop feeling uncomfortable, because they're good with their behavior. They're good with it. When it comes to you choosing a partner, you have options. You either stay or you go. Stop wasting years of your lives with people who are going to stay just the way they are, no matter what. And you keep battling against it because you already know it's in. You're not going to change them. You're not going to make them think differently. You're not going to make them feel differently about that particular thing, but they will feel a lot differently about you if you keep confronting that unresolved. I'm telling you. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. You can't change anybody who doesn't want to change. They're going to be just the way they are. You can't share with somebody your experience that thinks they're going to do something different because they telling themselves that, no, that was your experience. That ain't mine. Ain't mine. So listen, as always, you can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, but for some reason you sitting here listening to me. Moving to the street. I appreciate it. Because you're listening to me sometimes vent about my own condition, but I'm also learning with you right here live on this show about how to continue to change. Happiness is your choice. Nobody makes you happy. Nobody. You make yourself happy. You make yourself happy. It's not for somebody else to do. And if anybody tells you that they can make you happy, only thing I can tell you to do